A lot of repair products don't actually make hair more flexible. They make it stiffer, and stiff hair snaps. That's the part that gets glossed over. I studied chemistry and now I work in finance. So I spend a lot of time looking at patterns. What sounds sensible on the surface doesn't quite hold up when you zoom out. And one of the biggest ones in hair care is the idea that if your hair isn't behaving, you just need more repair. If you're feeling confused by your hair right now, that makes sense. You're using the masks, the bond builders, the protein treatments. You're doing what you were told works. And somehow you're still losing length. So let me say this properly. You didn't mess up. This isn't you being careless. It's a very logical mistake because the way we're taught to think about damage almost guarantees you'll make it. But over time, it adds up. Not just the money, although it's usually a lot more than we admit, but the time, the steps, the mental energy, and that quiet thought creeping in that maybe your hair is just bad now, or fragile, or high maintenance. It isn't. If you want a really simple way to sense check your routine, I've put together a free hair care cheat sheet. It helps you work out what your hair actually needs without automatically adding something new. It's below if you want it, because most of the time, the issue isn't damage. It's how we've been trying to fix it. Here's how this usually plays out. Your hair is damaged. Damaged hair needs repair. Repair makes it stronger. And if it's still breaking, well, you probably just haven't repaired it enough yet. That logic is everywhere. So you try a bond builder, then a protein mask, then something clinically proven. I've done a whole video on clinically proven if you want to dive into that rabbit hole. And honestly, it sounds convincing. There's science language. There are diagrams. Your hair does feel smoother, shinier, more controlled. And before and afters look incredible. But here's the bit that doesn't get explained. Hair can feel stronger while actually becoming less flexible. And we've been trained to chase strength. Stronger sounds better. Stronger sounds healthier. Except strength and resilience aren't the same thing. Hair can fail because it's weak, but it can also fail because it's too rigid to bend. And when you layer protein and film formers together, you slowly push it in that direction, towards stiffness. Let's get clear on what protein in hair care is actually doing. Because the marketing makes it sound like you're feeding your hair. You're not. Hair is basically a rope. Inside, you've got the cortex. That's the load-bearing part. Outside, the cuticle. It's like roof tiles protecting it. When you bleach it, heat it, or chemically treat it, you rough up that rope. You create weak spots. And protein treatment can help with that. They can patch up the rough areas, reinforce weak sections, and make the strand feel firmer. That part is real. But here's the important bit. Protein adds structure, not elasticity. And structure is useful until you add so much that your hair stops behaving, well, like hair. Now, protein overload is not a medical diagnosis. It's not some permanent condition. It's just a name that people have given to that moment where their hair feels hard, crispy, and kind of sealed. And then it snaps instead of stretching. That's the clue. Here's the simple way to think about it. Protein pushes hair towards stiffness. What most people call moisture, in practical terms, is what gives you flexibility and slip. When that balance tips too far towards stiffness, your hair doesn't cope well with stress. It doesn't bend. It just goes tight and breaks. And most of the time is layering. Protein, film formers, conditioners, styling products. Over time, you build a coating. That's why your hair can feel dry, even though you've used lots of product. It's not crying out for water, it's just rigid. And rigidity looks good in photos. Structured, controlled hair reflects light nicely. Flexibility doesn't show up on camera. That's why this mistake feels like progress at first. And a quick nerdy point, but it matters. Not all protein is the same size. Tiny amino acids can penetrate more deeply, Bigger keratin fragments mostly sit on the surface. Both can make hair feel stronger. But if you keep reinforcing the surface, you're not strengthening the core. You're building a shell. So when someone says protein ruined my hair, it usually wasn't one mass. It was accumulation. Now, bond builders are a different category. They're aimed at internal structure damage, especially from bleach. They're trying to help reconnect weakened bonds. But in real life, nobody uses just one thing. They stack bonding shampoo, bond treatment, protein mask, leave-in with more strengthening agents, and styling products on top. And dosage is rarely discussed. The assumption is always the same. Damage is the problem, so repair is the solution. But hair isn't always failing because it's under-repaired. Sometimes it's failing because you've made it too rigid for normal life. You're not maintaining hair at that point. You're maintaining the product. And that's when routines quietly start backfiring. And the frustrating part is it feels logical. You get smoothness, shine, less frizz, and that slightly stronger feel. So your brain goes, great, let's do that again. But hair doesn't heal. It just accumulates what you put on it. So that same routine that looked like progress slowly becomes the reason your ends won't survive brushing. And this way of thinking doesn't just stay theoretical. It shows up in normal life. You buy the bond builder. That worked until it didn't. Then you try the stronger version. And then a mask to fix what that one made weird. Then something to rebalance it. So you're replacing, rotating, adding. Not because you're careless, because you're trying to solve a problem you were told that you had. Over time, it gets expensive, but the heavier cost is mental. You start thinking your hair is difficult, that your texture is fragile, that you're just high maintenance. When really, your hair is just responding to being overmanaged. And once you're in that loop, you rarely let it reset. There's always something new going on to it, something correcting the last thing. The routine gets longer, the results get less predictable, and none of that actually improves the fibre itself. So if maximum repair isn't the goal, what is? Well, you want hair that survives normal life. Brushing, a bit of heat, a windy day without drama. Hair needs to bend. Repair should be situational, not automatic. And how something feels in your hand isn't always how it performs under stress. Here's the simplest test. When your hair's damp, gently stretch a strand. Does it give a little and come back, or does it go tight and snap? That's not a diagnosis, it's just feedback. And if you want me to properly break down how to tell the difference between genuine structural damage and a simple coating or build-up, I can do a full deep dive on that, because they're not the same thing. If you've been stuck in that loop, you're not stupid. You were given a model that sounds logical. And I've absolutely fallen into this before. Repair the damage, strengthen the fibre. If it's still breaking, try harder. Of course you've followed it. And yes, this mistake is encouraged, is profitable, and it's dressed up as care. But your hair isn't ruined, and you haven't permanently broken it. And you don't need to panic fix everything at once. Most of the time, the better move isn't adding anything new. It's stopping, simplifying. Let it settle for a few weeks and watch what it actually does. And that is where the clarity usually comes back. You stop second guessing every strand. You start trusting what you're seeing. And if you zoom out a bit, this pattern isn't accidental. Hair care makes more money when you never feel done, when repair becomes ongoing, when there's always one more thing that you're meant to fix. But healthy hair isn't about doing more. It's about knowing when to stop.